over the weekend, well, actually late last week, the timing could not have been better for Meghan, by which I mean worse. And this is a gift. She and Harry, their timing is always abysmal. The fates, call it the fates, call it karma, what have you. But justice does get meted out in this world. It really does. The day that Meghan's Netflix holiday special dropped, which was last Wednesday, I mean, hours later, the world learned that her father, Thomas Markle, was in an ICU in the Philippines and that it was touch and go. And then like a day or two later, we learned that his leg, whether it was just his foot, and I don't mean just his foot, but you know what I'm saying, or a larger portion of the leg had been amputated. And the reports were that Meghan had not reached out. Then she claimed she had, but then reports from her siblings say she had not. So anyway, here to try to get this criminal timeline together. And we're just talking culturally criminal. But, you know, I think that Meghan, this is my new moniker for her. She is a spiritual reptilian. Okay. We're going to try to get this all sorted out as best we can with the help of our friend, Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, welcome for this emergency debrief.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This timeline's insane. Wednesday, Meghan drops with Love Meghan. Harry is on the Colbert Show, and we get word that Thomas is in the hospital. And Meghan's team, their initial reaction was that they were fact checking it. They were trying to prove its authenticity. It wasn't concern like, please respect my father's privacy at this time.
Right.
I mean, you know, she should have taken care of him the way she did not take care of him back in 2016 and 2017 and 2018. She should have said, back up. There's a bounty on that photo. You know, the very first photo of her father with an amputated leg, you know that exists today. And
You're so right.
Initial reaction should have been like, back off. Please leave my dad alone. I'm going to take care of this. But instead, she's fact checking, Maureen. She doesn't trust her family's narrative. She doesn't trust that her father could be injured or, ailing. And it's Friday when the Princess of Wales is showing family unity and strength through her Christmas Carol concert. We're getting those gorgeous images out of Westminster Abbey of her and her children that Meghan decides to allow her team to release to People magazine that she's reached out to her father. Over the weekend, her sister, Samantha Markle, as well as Thomas Markle, come out and say, there's been no outreach. Thomas Markle Sr. says, I haven't heard from my daughter. Then Meghan's team rushes to People magazine to say, no, we sent an email. We sent an
Yes. I know. Okay. I just got to stop you right there for 1 second. Number one, I have to say her first reaction, which is I need to authenticate this claim. I need to prove its veracity, that it's true. That's the reaction, in my opinion, of someone who's a habitual pathological liar.
Amen.
Because she knows she's constantly lying to us all the time. She's lying to the media all the time. The royals are racist. I was suicidal. Just my opinion. Those are flagrant lies. And so she thinks the way she acts, which is, well, I would make something like that up for sympathy. Sure, I would. Secondly, the Daily Mail's reporting, and I columned on this over at the Daily Mail last week, if anyone wants to go take a look, was that, Meghan's people, I think Meghan's people did it. I don't think she would deign to do such a thing, sent an email, and she had an email that was 5 years old.
Right.
And that her people had to ask Daily Mail journos, allegedly, reportedly, for an up-to-date email.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like headlines regarding her desperation, which we're seeing today, to touch base with her dad, are a result of media pressure more than sincere interest. How can a woman try to sell a familyless holiday special while her lonely father is having body parts removed in a foreign country? It's actually a crisis PR team's worst nightmare. And I'm sorry, Maureen, but it shouldn't take a woman that Serena Williams says is so smart in Harper's Bazaar 2025, or one of Fortune's most powerful women, a freaking week to get a hold of her ailing dad. It's like you said, pick up the phone and call the Daily Mail. They're the same outlet that somebody from your team has on speed dial, because they sure did secure those images real quick of Meghan's PR girl Meredith Main sitting down with the King's communications guru Tobin Andre back in July. And it
Mm-hmm.
is my understanding that Meghan's mother, Doria, continued to communicate with her father long after Meghan's falling out with him. So is Doria unable to assist? Is she making the Christmas Eve gumbo right now and is not available to get us the actual contact information of Meghan's DNA father? It's a terrible look for the Sussexes.
What do you think, to your point about this timeline, Megan's special, her holiday Netflix special, all about hearth and home and creating a wonderful, joyous holiday, and holidays are all about family and traditions. That drops to 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, 0%. It did not crack the top 10 of Netflix's new shows in the United States at all. It landed with a thud, the reviews scathing. Her husband, like the idiot he is, goes over to Colbert, where he plays a game of, quote, king for a day, and he looks like a buffoon. And then news breaks that her father is critically ill and had to have part of his body cut off in the Philippines. And she sits there and she's like, I'm not going to do a goddamn thing about it. I mean, it's beyond heartless. She is a reptile. She is a cold-blooded reptile masquerading as a human being. And if he dies before the month is out, I mean, I don't think she can come back from this. I really don't. I mean, tell me your thoughts.
I mean, the timeline's a little off because Harry does Colbert while he knows Thomas is sick. And Meghan sits at home while she knows Thomas is sick and is sharing Colbert posts on Instagram
Oh my
instead of
God.
shutting down and shutting up while we're trying to figure out what's going on with Thomas Markle. She looks so heartless. She looks so detached. But I feel like we should expect that from her, because if you watch the original Netflix docuseries that they did, the only one that has any, commercial
Mhm.
value whatsoever, she talks about losing her father in a way that sounds like he's dead. So I think that she's completely written him off. I think she has acted as if he's dead over the last few years. And the only reason we're getting any sort of fake sympathy or distress over the situation is because the people like us are putting pressure on her and saying, this does not look normal. Your behavior is not normal. It's callous. It's cruel. And how can you go sell joy, love, empathy, and compassion while you're showing your father zero?
I mean, it's too late for her, because even if she tries to now, everybody will see it for what it is, which is just a PR move. That's all that it is. The only thing this trick cares about is getting another deal with Netflix for some kind of reality show in which she can lionize herself as the epitome of beauty, grace, elegance, and class. And or get on the cover of Vogue, and or outshine Catherine. I mean, good luck continuing to try, sister, or cosplaying Diana. Diana, who built her legacy on hugging and holding AIDS patients back when the paranoia and hysteria was such that to touch an AIDS patient would be a death sentence for the person extending an iota of compassion to these people who were talk about dying alone in a hospital. You would think she would take the note. You would think she can't do it. She can't bring herself to do it. It is coming up against the immovable characterological problem with Meghan Markle. She does not have a heart. She does not have compassion. She is, in my opinion, a complete malignant narcissist. Thomas Markle long ago outstayed his use to her. His use to her was done the minute she met Harry. It was over.
Yeah, and Harry should be taking notes. I mean, if I were Harry,
Mm-hmm.
looking at this long string of people that she's discarded since I met
Mm-hmm.
her, I'm concerned about when I'm next. And I think that she loves having that control over him, because that means she gets exactly what she wants when she wants it. I mean, Harry said it himself to Queen Elizabeth: what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, over the tiara drama,
Right.
which she didn't get, by the way, because, Queen E was the ultimate boss. But I think that he is terrified of her. And I'm sure you're reading those reports in Radar about how their marriage is slowly but surely crumbling. Harry will never be the one that leaves Meghan Markle. I think his father's divorce devastated him too deeply. I think he fears being alone. I think he understands that he has screwed up royally with his own family. That Colbert stunt, that was him lashing out at his family, jeopardizing everything they'd just done with Donald Trump at that state visit. But he doesn't want, he won't let Meghan go because she's all he has. She's alienated him from everything he's ever known. And if it were the opposite sexes in this situation, we would look at that and call it abuse. We would call that an abusive relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your point is so well taken that Harry should look at this. This man who has, as far as we know, never even met his grandchildren. Their children, Meghan and Harry's children have two sets of grandparents. Only one of the four they have any kind of relationship with, let alone have really met. Okay. This is beyond cold-blooded. Her father could be on his deathbed. I'm not trying to exaggerate for dramatic effect. When you start amputating body parts, when people are that old and that infirm, I know I had a relative this happened to. The average lifespan, if you're in decent shape to begin with, you're maybe looking at 5 years, maybe once you start amputating. It's not good for him. And at the holidays, no less, she cannot be bothered to brag about calling one of her rich, famous friends, whether it's Tyler Perry or whether it's Victoria Jackson, to get their private plane so she can go fly over there with her two children and he can at least meet his own grandchildren. She is a monster, Kinsey. This woman is a monster, and Harry would do well, as you said, to take notes because he will be next. I wanted to ask you too, this is something that's sort of whispered about in the media, among media people. You can't really say it out loud, at least in print, but we're going to talk about it because
we're troublemakers.
We're troublemakers, but we're troublemakers for the right kind of trouble. And we're going to beat this bitch to the punch. I think my theory, and I'm not alone because I've talked to many like-minded people about this who are very smart and very savvy and have been in this world forever, is that when Thomas Markle does die, Meghan Markle, just my opinion, just a theory of the case, I have no evidence for it other than getting to know her, regrettably, lo these many years, will claim, doubtless, I think, just my opinion, that Thomas Markle sexually abused her as a child, and that's why she had to cut him off, and the world just couldn't understand her pain. But now that he's dead, she can talk about it. Certainly not while he was alive and could defend himself. Your thoughts?
I think that if she does that, Samantha Markle has shown incredible courage in the veracity of her, the veracity of her going after her sister in court. If they were to do that, I can see her siblings going after her in court for something like that because Thomas wouldn't be here to defend himself. If you look, that's video of her from Craig Ferguson is circulating today from 2013. Go watch her original UN speech where Hillary Clinton is in the audience. She is loving and gushing and grateful about her father's existence. There is no scrubbing that from the internet. There's absolutely zero scrubbing that from the internet. I think at the end of the day, and we've had this conversation before, Meghan was ashamed of her family. Meghan was embarrassed of them. She didn't want them out in front of the world because they were not in the same class as the royal family and what she was pretending to be. Meghan is constantly rewriting her history. And if her father was out there and she gave him that credibility by standing next to him, he could tear down some of these stories that she's told over the last few years that we believe to be untrue. This stupid dish soap story is one of them. Thomas told Tom Bauer, that's not true. That's not the way it went at all. She exaggerates this, among other things, in revenge. And I look forward to seeing what comes out in Bauer's new book in March about some of Meghan's lies. But I think that she is a perpetual liar. And that's my personal opinion. And the reason that Harry and Meghan hate social media and the reason Harry and Meghan hate the media is that we hold them accountable. But will she try to justify her vile behavior when her father passes by saying that there was some form of abuse? I wouldn't put it past her.
I think it's her only play. I think it's one she's been holding in reserve for quite some time. Again, just my opinion. I think there's nothing, I don't think she would think twice about smearing someone with the most vile thing you could accuse them of. Truly, I don't. And I actually believe, again, just my opinion, that this is what she's told Harry. And that's why Harry goes along with this vile, psychopathic, just my opinion, excising of her father, who lives apparently in penury, in, and refusing to even, here's what you do. Like, even if you're like, listen, I have a difficult relationship with my father. I do. But, he's my father and I don't want to see him suffer. And I am now in a position with access to all manner of privilege. I mean, I pick up the phone and people answer. You get the world's best specialists to be in contact with Thomas Markle's medical team, and you make sure they have eyes on him and they've got his medical report. And when is he stable enough to travel? And I'm bringing him back here and I'm going to make sure he has the best. Doesn't mean I'm going to have like a wholly repaired relationship with him, but I'm certainly not going to let the man who gave me everything that led me to my place in life currently suffer.
No, I mean, he just survived an earthquake. I know, I don't remember exactly what floor he's on, but he's on, one of the top. Yeah, very high floor in the Philippines in his apartment complex. This is not an ideal situation for a person that recently had a body part amputated. It's going to take months, if not years, for him for this to normalize in his system, for this to become normal for him. And God love Thomas Jr., but he's not equipped to handle this new physical. He's going to need 24/7 around the clock care. And by the way, this reminds me, not for nothing, but when my father was alive and he was sick, at one point he was living alone in his apartment. His TV broke. And do you know that my brother dropped everything to go and buy him a new TV and bring it up to him and install it for him so that he wouldn't be alone in his apartment for a day without the company of a TV? And I will never forget my brother saying this to me. I felt so bad for him. And my father could be a real pain in the ass when he was sick. He really could. And he's still because that's what you do for your parents when they're sick and ailing. That is what you do. And like, if it were, that's just a TV. That's not somebody sick and alone, missing a leg in a hospital bed in the Philippines. Meghan, you're a fucking asshole. We all want you out of our lives. Just get out. Get out. Kinsey, do you have anything to add to that? Just that you're right. I mean, don't forget when With Love Meghan was coming out, the Palisades fire took over. When, this Christmas special, now she's got, the universe is trying to tell you something, Meghan Markle. And we're not talking about the Rotten Tomatoes score, but that should be telling you something too.
I'm telling you, Kinsey, I think this woman has real demonic energy. And if you correlate, like we should do this on a future nerve, like all of the like global events or natural disasters that timed perfectly with anything she thought was going to be a major win. And it goes back to Megxit. They announced it in January 2020. What happened in March? COVID and the world shut down and nobody gave a shit about what those two were up to,
A variety cover, her scoring the variety cover she waited all of her life for, and Queen Elizabeth dies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wasn't that the variety story where she said, I didn't sign an NDA, or was that the cut?
That was the cut, but the variety story where she stole the dress, allegedly, supposedly.
Oh, I know we have sticky fingers. We're so classy. We're just stealing designer things everywhere because, what we want, we take. What we want, we take. Well, Meghan, you're not going to want what the culture's dishing out to you, but you're sure as fuck going to take it. I want to tell you about a new documentary that I've recently watched. It's called Thank You, Dr. Fauci. And it is a deep dive into the origins of COVID-19, a potential bioarms race with China, and what could be the biggest public health deception in modern history. Award-winning filmmaker Jenner Furst pores over documents and grills scientists, intelligence experts, and whistleblowers. This is not a left-wing film or a right-wing film. It is a film about accountability. It is a compelling investigative work. It is urgent, unsettling, eye-opening, and it is now streaming on Angel Studios. It is a must-watch. If you have ever wondered what really happens behind closed doors, you will not want to miss this film. The biggest surprise for me was the courage it took to challenge the layers of institutional secrecy surrounding this story. Angel Studios is the only platform bold enough to release this, thanks to Guild members who vote on real stories. It is available on Angel, so be ready to watch, question, and share. If you are ready to demand transparency, join the Angel Guild at angel.com/nerve. Become a member, stream Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and be part of the conversation demanding truth and accountability.